Joining us here on the drop, the newest member of the 1000 NHL Games Club, TJ Oshie, forward for the Washington Capitals, Stanley Cup champion. TJ, right off the top, I have to ask the most important question. Warm-ups, 1000th game, were you aware or did you have an idea that your entire team would participate in the butt slap ritual?
I did not. I had heard someone joke about it. I think it was a couple days earlier, and so I was going to take a shot, and they were like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 stop!" And I turned around and saw all the guys lined up, and I was like, "All right, here we go." A couple guys got me in the high hamstring, which isn't a great spot to get slashed at, but it was. I appreciated it. It's always fun when the guys can have a little fun with guys' milestones, whether it's first game, 1000th game. So that was a good one and a new one. I don't think that one's been done yet.
How did the ritual start?
It was probably back in St. Louis. In warm-ups, I had went through and kind of tapped everyone on the butt, and then I started doing it here, and Tom Wilson and Michael Latta had slapped me back, and that was the first time that everyone kind of like gave me one back, and then it kind of just turned into a ritual with me and hitting everyone on like my side of the ice, and then ending with Tom and Lats, and then they started smacking me back, and it just kind of turned into a thing. I don't think really anyone knew much about it until the first time I think Tom wasn't playing maybe, and I gave like a fake slap to the air, and then people kind of started catching on a little bit more.
Well, 1000 games, Carl Alsner, who you know real well, said this might be the toughest 1000 games that anyone has ever played in the NHL based on how you play and based on having to overcome all the injuries you've faced. So what does it mean to set this mark in your career?
It's pretty important. There's no other milestones that I really set for myself in my career. I wasn't looking at goals or assist marks. It was games played was kind of the big one. It's something that I had looked up to the most out of the guys that came before me. Playing with guys that had reached the 1000 game mark, seeing the ceremonies, seeing the silver stick out there. It's a pretty cool thing, and it's tough to do. It's a lot harder than I thought it was, honestly. And I think when you have to go through it yourself, in the fashion that I did and the amount of time it kind of took, especially these last 100 games or so, it's a tough mark to get to. You're not 25 anymore, flying around, not needing to warm up or cool down or anything. So it definitely takes its toll, but all worth it, and really the only milestone that, like I said, that I was looking for.
Take us back to those younger days, man. It's like 2015. You've put down roots in St. Louis. You've established yourself. You're on a long-term contract at that point. Do you remember what your emotions were when you found out you were being traded to the Capitals?
Yeah, I think originally, you kind of feel like a little bit of like you failed the city and the fans, or maybe you were looked at by management as kind of the problem why you guys couldn't get over the hump, losing in the first or second, or I think mostly the second round, the last couple of years. And that kind of goes away pretty quickly when you get the next call from Mac, and hearing how excited he was to get you to join their team and try to be a part of their team getting over the playoff hump. So it was about 5 minutes of feeling pretty and then after that, being pretty excited to seeing the possibility of playing with Ovi, with Backstrom, with John Carlson. So it was a pretty couple different waves of emotion that went over me, and probably the best thing that could have happened to my career. Really jump-started my career playing with obviously world-class players, being welcomed in as a support guy and kind of an energy guy, and so I've loved my time here. We put down roots right away. I didn't even think about going to free agency after my 2 years here, and so it's been a fun ride.
Whenever you reach milestones like this, it's always fun to reflect on big moments in the past. Indulge me for a second. I have a couple of TJ Sochi questions for you. I'm very curious. So you score the first shootout goal against Russia, right? Then it goes to round 4. We're in the sudden death round. Did you know that you were going to ride it out until the very end, or were you told each round, hey, go back out there, go back out there?
No, I was told each round. There actually was a point because I was going pretty slow down the ice, and you're obviously on the Olympic sheet, and so I was actually getting a little tired from skating from their net back to our bench, and then by the time I had sat down, because you kind of got to pick up speed back to the bench because the Russian players were waiting to go. But they didn't tell me, and I especially thought after I missed the 2 that I missed. Even though I felt like they're probably arguably the 2 best moves that I had made, that they were going to go somewhere else. I mean, you look at our lineup, and we're going on my second shot. I was like, if you miss, they're gonna go to Kane, or they're gonna go to Parisi, or there's so many different options that they had. So no one ever told me, and after the 4th one, I assumed they were gonna ride it out, but it was pretty fun experience. It was not as, for me, it was not as serious and nerve-wracking as maybe it was for everyone watching on TV.
Oh, it was an amazing moment, obviously, and nerve-wracking for all Americans watching. I'm curious, like when you face the same goaltender over and over again, does it get easier? Do you pick up on things? Like, what's that process like?
I think it depends on kind of your success rate and what they're doing, how they're reacting. That's actually the first time that I thought about coming down the ice the exact same way, in the same manner, and making the move around the exact same time. Just because I was seeing the same goaltender, and you only have so many tricks up your sleeve that you kind of got to keep them guessing. And so I've went in that route, I guess, ever since. But that second shot was the first time, and I think it makes it a little bit more fun, that it kind of turns into a little bit of a head game when you're going just one guy in the goalie. Obviously, Quickie had 2 guys to think about, so he had to kind of think on the fly a little bit more than I did. But I had some time to think about the move and replay it in my mind before I took the next shot and what might work the next time. So it was a pretty fun little duel we had.
Yeah, it was awesome. Like
3 goals, 5 hole, by the way. No big deal.
Exactly.
Yeah. When I panic, that's my spot, So,
That's it. That's what gets you on the Today Show. That's for sure. So on Sunday, the Capitals are going to be wearing number 77 jerseys during warmups, which will be signed and auctioned off by the team. You personally selected the Alzheimer's Drug Discovery Foundation as the beneficiary for the jerseys auction. Your late father had Alzheimer's. What does helping that organization mean to you?
Well, I think it's right in the name there, the Drug Discovery Foundation. They were very instrumental when my dad was alive to help him get on the proper mix of medications to prolong his life, at one point to make him a little bit more comfortable. And so I was on the phone with them quite a bit from my interview after winning the cup up until even now today, about trying to help out them as much as I could with different charitable things, and them obviously helping me out with my dad, and making the end of his life as enjoyable as they could. So it was an incredible partnership. We're still partnered today, and for the proceeds to go to them means a lot to me, means a lot to my family, and especially the people that were very close with my dad, that were his caretakers in some pretty tough times. So hoping to find a cure out there, and the ADDF does a great job in searching for that.
That's awesome. There's another great example of why hockey players are the best. Really good vibes there, TJ. That's really, really cool that you're doing that. Last question from me. Obviously, we're all talking about Ovechkin's goal chase. You've been with him for a very long time. I'm actually curious, like, we're talking about it, especially when milestones are hit, right? Like last game, he's now 50 away that's a nice round number to cling on to and talk about. But I'm just curious, like as he approaches, every time he scores, as we get closer and closer here, how much is the team talking about it? How much are you guys thinking about it in the locker room? Does it even come up at all?
It doesn't come up in the room. I think it came up a little bit more as he was passing, fifth, fourth, third, second. But now that there's one man standing in his way, it hasn't came up too much. Obviously, it's in the back of our mind anytime you get a scoring chance, and eight's a better option almost always, even if he's covered. You try to get him the puck. Last night's no different. I think Stromer was, I mean, you don't get a better look than Stromer had right in front of the crease, and you still pass it to the side, and obviously we tucked it in the corner. So it's really amazing what he's doing right now, what he's done over his career. I think when you play with him and you see him every day, and you're the guy that's joking with him, sitting next to him in the locker room, you forget how truly special of a player he is, how special of a goal scorer he is. And you almost get a little spoiled with kind of seeing a lot of that greatness every day. So it's not until you sit back and really look at how many goals it was. I think I just got like my 300th like a month ago, and like I was like, oh my gosh, this is like the biggest thing for me. That was 300. He actually told me right after. He said, I think we were in the locker room, and he's like 300, babe? And I was like, yeah, babe. And he's like, congrats, babe. 500 more to go. I was like, obviously he said it in a good tone, and we joked about it. But I memean, it really is crazy, and it's a pleasure, and it's fun and an honor to watch.
That's awesome, dude. And I know finally for me, like it means a lot to Ovi, and probably means a lot to you and the rest of the veterans on the team as well, to be playing meaningful, relevant playoff games down the stretch. This is not something we all predicted for the Capitals, but yet here you are. What has been the secret to this team's success to be this close to clinching a playoff berth?
Yeah, I think we got a lot of character in the room. A lot of guys that aren't comfortable with going away or aren't comfortable with packing it in. We've had some phenomenal goaltending. We also have a lot of players that are stepping into larger roles and have been learning along the way. We got a first-year NHL head coach. And so I think we're really improving as the season's going here. And, despite the goal differential and all that, we have guys that are willing to play the correct way defensively that makes it tough for other teams to score on us, and it makes it frustrating if they don't get their cookies right away in the first half of the game. So I think it's winning hockey, and if we can play our game and we can stick with it, and we get the goaltending we've been getting, we're gonna be right there in the end and have a chance to maybe make a run.
Heck of 1,000 games, TJ. Cheers to many more. Thanks for joining us here on The Drop.
Thanks, gentlemen.